I think we're live, so we can just get started. Let me just check. Awesome. Okay. Super excited to have another office hours with two superstars here, Simone from the Fantom Foundation and Sid from Spirit Swap. Hey guys, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Very, very good. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's get started with a quick round of intros. Why don't we start with Simone? What do you do at Fantom Foundation? What really inspires you, and what have you been working on recently?
Absolutely. So before starting with the intro, actually, I was talking to Sid and Harish before we started recording. I'm I'm receiving a package that I have to sign at some point. I hope it's not going to be during the call, but for everyone that is listening, this is the fun part of being live. There may be a chance that I have to go down and sign this package and come back at some point. Sid will answer all the questions while I'm away.
We'll time it up with a hardball question, right? What is the future of Fantom Foundation? And you pick up and leave, right?
Perfect. But so this is the sort of what's going on. But a little bit of intro about myself. So I'm the head of marketing at Fantom. I've been working with the team since a year and a half, but I've been part of the community, the Fantom community, since before the public sale. So we're talking 3 years ago, roughly. And I've always been very involved with the community. When I was still a community member, I organized an event here in New York City with Fantom, Holochain, and IOTA. It was this kind of alternative ways of looking at blockchains. And actually, Andre joined us, and he was the one presenting for Fantom. So there was a really great experience and a wonderful chance of meeting Andre. Is unbelievable. So that's pretty much it. I first learned about crypto in 2013 when I was working in advertising. A friend of mine brought it up. Very long story. He did not explain it to me very well, unfortunately. So I didn't, I wasn't curious enough to dig more. And then I came back in early 2017 and never left. So that's a short intro.
Amazing. So let's move on to Sid. Intro yourself. What are you working on, and what are you excited about?
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for having me here. I am Sid. I graduated from UC Irvine in 2018. I've been in the blockchain space for about 5 years now, and I work at a big tech company on an enterprise blockchain solution. And I saw Fantom. We have a team that we have been chatting since a year now, and we're like, hey, Fantom is awesome. Let's see what we can do. So we started brainstorming ideas, and we came up hey, I think a DEX might be awesome over here because there's nothing out there right now. So we started building, and we've made it so far in a pretty good way. So yeah, just hanging in there, building new stuff, and pretty excited for what's ahead.
Amazing. Okay, so let's jump right to it. Basically, let's hear from Simone. There's a lot of projects out there that provide an EVM compatible blockchain, and Fantom is one of our partners. So from a positioning standpoint, from attracting developers, yes, you are getting a source of projects that are cross-deploying, right? For sure. But what is your perspective on how you're going to be attracting newer projects, fresher projects, greenfield projects to build on Fantom? What is the messaging? I would love you to share some highlights there.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have to say that a lot of these new high-performance blockchains have a similar value proposition, right? So I'm talking about Fantom, Avalanche, Polygon, BSC as well to a certain extent. Solana, a little bit different because it's not EVM compatible, but they're all very similar. If we look at what makes them special, it's all of course high throughput, low cost, low fee cost, and fast finality. So they're all very similar, right? Now, what makes why Fantom stands out? And I would say it's the user experience overall. So the onboarding process and how easy it is to start using Fantom right away. And I've personally used Polygon. I've used Avalanche, and I have to say, even though I like those projects, absolutely, but Fantom is easier. It's a much smoother experience. So for developers specifically, Fantom has the same tools as Ethereum. So it has FTM scan. That is a huge advantage over other blockchains, for example, over Avalanche for sure. They really don't have an explorer that is compatible to Etherscan or FTM scan. Polygon just recently caught up, and there was a great move from them. But anyway, we do have this, and definitely we saw the developers really liked it, of course, because the experience is the same as on Ethereum. And besides that, also for the users, it's so easy to start using Fantom because with more exchanges now supporting FTM mainnet, so we have Binance, and now just today actually, Bitfinex also started trading FTM mainnet. So that's a direct way to tap into the Fantom ecosystem, into the Fantom network. No need to use bridges, no need to use any additional steps that sort of make it harder for the user to start using the network. Because that's all about it, right? Once you have all these networks that are very similar, then it comes down to what's easiest to use, what's the one that offers less friction. And I believe that's really where Fantom is a few steps ahead compared to the others.
Amazing. So let's hear Sid's perspective. Out of all those projects out there, why Fantom? What specifically about Fantom was attractive to you?
Yeah, so as Simone mentioned that we looked at a lot of the chains. We were very interested in Solana as well, and we're like, hey, like there is not a lot of projects out there. So should we like build something over there? And we're like, it's gonna like take us a long time to like ramp up from like dev point of view to like figure out like how everything works over there. We don't have like that many resources, not a lot of like workshops, tutorials, those kinds of things. And we're like, maybe we go to like Fantom, see like how that plays out because it's EVM compatible. We have all the resources. We have these big projects on ETH, which have done awesome. So what if we just like kind of like do something similar on Fantom? And that's what we went for. The main thing that kind of like attracted us was like the low transaction fees and how quick it was. Like it was unbelievable. Like once we started developing, it was like, oh my god, like I'm not going back to ETH at all. I'm like sticking here. It was that experience that Simone was talking about, like that UX, which is very crucial in today's world. That fast transaction speed, it's great, and that's something that we were aiming for.
Awesome. So now let's ask a cross question here because this is still fresh in my mind. So a lot of these questions are basically questions I have in my mind which I need answered. So it's a great way to tap into the collective intelligence that you guys have. So now you have the dev product, Fantom, and the ecosystem and the developer tools and that whole community, and then you have the token holders, right? Who want to participate, and that's the community. How do you balance the needs between the two? I'm asking this, let me give you some context, because the Covalent token, CQT, just launched last night. So, now we have a second cohort of users. So far, we've never really talked about token and all that stuff, but our developer community is strong. We have like thousands of devs on Discord, 200, 250 plus projects on Covalent, the API. And then there's, how do you reconcile the needs and the wants for these two communities who don't really understand each other, but you have to build a cohesive flywheel because this feeds into that and that feeds into this, right? Of course, there's always going to be speculation, but how would you balance this so that it's in sync rather than one running ahead of the other or one lagging behind?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question. That's also Crypto 101. So how do you balance different audiences and different communities, because that's what it is, that have completely different needs, And well, that's a very hard question, and I don't think that anyone really has figured out an answer yet. But because it's just so new, it's this thing. If you think about crypto, right? So crypto has this unusual and unique mix of a token that has a value, and then people that are attached to that token for certain reason, maybe for speculation, for maybe just because they like it, because they like the community, and that's one part. Some other people maybe like what the project is doing, maybe in the real world. And then we have the developers. Developers, sometimes they don't really, for example, Andre is one of them. They don't really care about token, right? Token is just something that is used for something else. And the fact that it has a value, okay, cool, but it's not really that important. So we see here that we really have two contrasting sort of narratives. One is that the token is a piece of technology that serves a purpose. And on the other hand, you have actually a something that holds some value. So it's the same thing. It's two faces of the same coin, so to speak. So, well, to sum it up, it's very hard, and you really have to sort of create different narratives and different touch points for all the different audiences.
Yeah, so good points, Simone. And like we had so one of the inspirations, another inspiration that we chose Fantom was Andre. We're like, hey, we are huge fans of Andre. Like the way the work he does is awesome, and it kind of like ties into the question that you have over here. And I just read recently, I don't know if it was Andre's blog or somewhere, but there are two big communities. One is like the dev community who love like just like coding and like doing like new things, and the other ones are like just like there for like the money and like the heels. They want like the token, like when moon, like those kinds of things. So now, if you focus on development and if you launch like a unique idea, there might be somebody who comes in, gets that clone and launches their own token and like beats you to the market, which kind of like sucks because you did all the hard work and you don't get anything. Now, to launch any awesome project, you need to like launch a token along with it, so that like nobody else like competes for you and like you're the first to the market kind of thing. Now, if you launch the token, now your 80%, 90% focus goes on the token price. Like you need to like build features to support that. Like that creativity, that innovation, that spark that you had, that has to like somehow like subside and like focus more on like the community, like delivering more projects for them, which I think we need to like find a balance of. I don't think anybody has found it yet. But I think we just need to like keep building like towards that goal. At some point, we could have like both these communities kind of like merge together and like provide that value. But I hope it comes soon. Like I hope both the sides come together and see like one point of view.
Okay, so following on that question, Simone, does the foundation take any steps to educate the token holders on the development process, any of that stuff? Like, can you outline some initiatives you've taken along those directions?
So that's a good question. So yes, we do try to educate the community, let's say the non-developer community, to make them understand all the technology progress that we make and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, you guys know very well that this stuff can be quite hard to explain, and to be honest, sometimes it's not really that relevant, right? So I'll take a smartphone as an example, right? I don't really, as a user, I don't really know the need to know how it works, what's inside. As long as it works for me, as long as I can make phone calls, as long as I can send messages, go on the internet and stuff like that. So I think again, we can apply the same sort of approach with crypto, right? So what is the majority of the user? What does the majority of the user need to know? Probably it's just, hey, it works somehow, but because of these sort of stuff that's happening in the background, in the case of Fantom, you get fast transaction and you get cheap transactions. Then, of course, we have resources as well to explain what's going on in the background, right? So how the consensus mechanism works and all that kind of stuff. But that's generally to sort of a deeper layer, and that not many people, the majority of people are really not interested in that. Also because again, it's very complex stuff. So to answer your question, yes, but we also try to find that balance of both of tone and voice, so that what we communicate is as understandable as possible. And then for those that really want to dig in deeper, then we have the documentation, the technical documentation, and some technical papers that they can go through and sort of go more in depth.
Yep, and I 100% agree with what Simon just said, because when we started Spirits of and Phantom, like those guys were like the first ones to like welcome us in a chat and like help us out with anything. So we're like, hey, we're kind of like blocked on this. Like, is there any way you can help us out? And like they were like the ones to like step up. So they have that awesome resources that they're like helping all the devs to like succeed. And I'm really appreciative of like all that they're doing. From our point of view, any feature work that we have, we constantly post updates on our channels and our social media. So like letting the community know like what's happening, what's in the pipeline, those kinds of stuff. And from the deployed contracts, if anybody has questions, we of course answer them on like Discord. Like there were like a lot of questions in the beginning, first couple of weeks, like what's happening to this transaction, where is this going, and all those kinds of questions. We took the time where we educated people that hey, like this is how like the rewards are going through, and like we kind of like explained. We did like how to videos. We launched like a YouTube channel, those kinds of things. So we're doing our part as well to help the community and like understand. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So now let's go to the value of hackathons. So back to the developer community. Why hackathons? Why are hackathons important? Do you think you're doing enough, or you think the ROI starts to taper off? Simone, you're an experienced marketer, so would love to hear your perspective, because it is a marketing campaign. That's what it is at the end of the day. So there is like a spreadsheet in the back office where the numbers are being tracked, right? So let's hear your thoughts on hackathons and the value and how you're quantifying this.
Yeah, absolutely. So personally, I'm a huge fan of hackathons because they really give an opportunity to people, either teams or individuals, to sort of express themselves and sort of, emerge from, the shadow and say, hey, let me try to do this. And maybe, someone will notice it, or maybe I can actually do something that is very useful, and then it can become something bigger. So I think just for that, it's amazing. And definitely personally, I would love to do more, because again, why not? To a certain extent, I would say that purely speaking, so it's hard to really quantify the ROI, right? Because maybe the ROI is delayed. Maybe you do something, you do an hackathon today, and some people get ideas, and then maybe one of those ideas or one or more of those ideas get developed, in a few months. So it's very hard to quantify immediately. But I would say, yeah, definitely they're super, super valuable. And I have to say, yeah, in my opinion, we haven't done enough hackathons ourselves, and I really hope that we can do more, because we're seeing that the ones that we do with you guys it's going fantastic. The participation is super, super high, and and it's just really good to see what people are thinking of. And I will add one more thing that is closely related to Fantom, and let's say also the whole high performance blockchains, right? And this is what I've been saying quite recently, also on other podcasts, other interviews. So now it's cool that on Fantom and Polygon, Avalanche, and blah blah blah, we have all these new protocols, new dApps, right? So we have dApps like Spirit Swap, that is in AMM DEX. We have others. We have yield optimizers. We have all that kind of stuff, which is super cool and amazing, because they really bring people, they bring users, they bring value. So it's really good. But these are sort of inherited from Ethereum, right? So this is stuff that was done on Ethereum, and to work on Ethereum, it was built in a certain way so that it had to kind of work around the limitations of Ethereum. So limitations of Ethereum are the kind of slow transaction, but even more so the transaction fees. Now it's great, right? Because now you go on Fantom, you use Spirit Swap, you do a swap that it takes place in 1 second, and you pay a fraction of a cent to swap. So that's amazing, and it's a huge increase and improvement. However, this is just an improvement of what's been done before. What can be done on Fantom that it's not possible to do on Ethereum? So how can we leverage that ultra fast transactions and ultra cheap transactions? So we've seen maybe with Reaper farms, that yield optimizer that, they every 15 seconds they compound, and that's something that is really not possible on Ethereum. But how can we push even further? And I would say that hackathons are a really good playground for these kind of ideas, because, it's really good to start thinking out of the box and out of the Ethereum box, so to speak.
Yep, great points. And from a dev point of view, like hackathons are amazing. Like, but the first time I attended a hackathon for like 48 hours, I was like mind blown. I was like up 48 hours, high on like energy drinks. I was like, oh my god, like this is amazing. Like so many things to do. But coming to Fantom and coming to Covalent, like the hackathon that's happening right now, it provides so much of value because we get to test a new product and think about like ideas which we haven't thought about before. So we are building like a portfolio page, building a somewhat like a text tools or FTM tools. So those kinds of things, I feel like this is the perfect time to like jump in and like try different things and explore, and also give feedback back to like you guys to like say like, hey, these APIs might be better. These are like missing. Can we add these? So I feel like it's like a collaborative space as well, where developers get to like reap the benefits of the initial product and also get to like give back and like improve that product. But yeah, as Simon was saying, the innovation that can happen in hackathons is unparalleled. Like there's a lot of stuff that I've seen that have come out from hackathons at my company as well, which have gone to become like big products out in the market. So yeah, thinking outside the box is definitely one of the main points I would emphasize on as well.
So the reason I asked this question is because personally, hackathons are near and dear to my heart. Covalent was started at a hackathon. So I built the initial version of Covalent in 2 days, exactly as you said, right? Put these pieces together and then see what would happen just because I was intellectually curious and I had nothing to do on a weekend. And then here we are, like, and it was not months, but it was like 3.5 years later through a brutal bear market. And here we are. So hence that question. In fact, we have a Twitter Spaces coming out later today where I'm going to be expounding on this point. And from a protocol perspective as well, just like Sid, it's exactly your point, right? From a product, from a protocol perspective, when you get out of college, there's this very common phrase: "Are you learning or are you earning?" Right? So you can choose one or the other in the first stages of your career. And generally, it's better to learn rather than earn because that sets you up for future success. So I think hackathons is a great opportunity for protocols. Are you learning or are you earning? And this is a way to learn where you capture the hearts and the minds of developers. And then once their products become successful, then you earn with the transaction fees and all of that stuff, right? So that'll come later. So I think this is like a very, very unique point that a lot of, I think, it's a very novel point, which I think a lot of people should think about, especially from a product protocol, like the long-term believers for sure, right? Short-term, whatever, right? The next bear market, they'll be the first to exit. That's fine. Awesome. Okay, so now let's talk about challenges. Okay, so Simone, let's start with you from a marketing standpoint, specifically with the data aspect. Can you say like what is your top of mind biggest roadblock in getting your job done smoothly? What are you working on? Like what's stumbling you right now?
So I would say specifically with marketing, crypto marketing, right? And also with data. Data related to marketing. So Yeah, marketing in crypto is hard. And specifically, it's because what we talked about before, right? We have different audiences. So who are we targeting with? There's always the risk that we target the wrong audience. So we speak about something that most people are not interested, or some people are not interested. So I would say that that's the challenging part, and the way that I guess naturally we figured it out at Fantom. It's what we've been doing. So it's just making sure that no matter what, no matter, even if the language is maybe a little bit too simplified for developers or experienced users, it's important that we keep the community updated on whatever is going on as much as possible, of course, without, within the limits. And I would say that that's been challenging. Now of course it's a little bit easier now for us because things really started picking up. But when we were building, and there was really not much that we could share because these things take time. So in a week or in 2 weeks, you can't really see much of a progress. And yet, sure, you can share a little bit of an update, but again, technical people maybe can pick it up, but most of the people are not going to be interested in it. So I would say that that's the biggest challenge. And so it's, again, that's sort of the expectations that the community have with the speed of development and the speed of both the technical development and business development and the reality, right? Luckily, crypto moves very fast, but also at Fantom, we're doing a lot of external business development, like real world business development. So we're working with governments and government entities, and that's moving very, very slow. So whenever we give updates on that, there's only so much that we can say because, again, things are moving slow. So I would say that that's the biggest challenge. So kind of keep the expectation of the community. That is something that was not almost non-existent before crypto, right? The concept of a community attached to a brand, because that's what it is. If you think about, let's take also the big tech brands, right? So let's think about Amazon, Google, Facebook. They don't really have a community like as a fan base, sort of, right? Compared to every crypto project, every crypto company. So that's the very, very challenging part.
Yeah, I would reiterate on what he said. We went through that whole community storm in the first 1.5 months. And Simon knows because we asked him a lot of questions in the first month. But the other part I would say, which is something that we're kind of like facing right now, is developers. We have so many ideas that we kind of want to like start building on, like start doing stuff. But the lack of developers in the space is huge. Like before starting Splitso, I did not think it was that big. But once we started and once we started recruiting people, we started like saying like, hey, like we need more guys to like build. Even if like not blockchain devs, at least like let's start like building normal devs and converting them to blockchain devs. So that's kind of like the approach that we have started taking. While we have like 2-3 senior devs who are focused on blockchain and DeFi, we've started on that. So those 2 points for sure. And then I'll touch back on the first point, the community point that Simone was mentioning. So while you're building, like I think like I mentioned this before as well, like the main focus goes back to like answering questions for the community, like answering like all the fun that we see. It just gets crazy. Like day after day, we see something like new. And like it's good because people are thinking about like those things and making sure like the project is good and is audited and like those kinds of things. But I feel like there should be like a demarcation for the developers to like focus like, hey, like you focus like 70% of your time in like development and like the other 30% like you can like do the other stuff. Just because I feel like the community is non-stop. As somebody was mentioning, there is like no fan base in like the real world other than like crypto. And like people will keep coming at you. So I would say like just like head down and like start like developing. Don't worry about the community. Like they'll come in place. Whenever you have like a big feature, they'll be like, hey, yeah, this is awesome. whenever you make like one small mistake, it just goes like fully like negative and like downhill. And another point that somebody was mentioning about was like the technical people like pick up on like these small things. So I think we picked up on the multi-sig wallet that Fantom was testing, because we saw a smart contract being deployed on FTM scan like last month, and we're like, oh yeah, this is like something new is coming. I'm really excited. So like those kind of things, I feel like devs can pick up pretty quickly, and the normal people can't, which I think is good in some ways. But yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so now let's talk about the roadmap. What can you share? What's exciting, or even what has been announced in the last 2 weeks, right? What are you actually very excited about at Fantom and at Spirit Swap, respectively?
Sure. So at Fantom this year, we purposely decided not to share a roadmap, simply because the main infrastructure is built, right? So Fantom is working. And so now it's just a matter of improving what it's done already. So, and those improvements are sort of hard to put on a roadmap, meaning that in the moment that we say we're going to do this by let's say Q2, Q3, Q4, we give us an unnecessary hard deadline. That again, if it was the real world, it wouldn't matter. You just put it on your Amazon, you put it on a blog post, whatever. Q3, we're gonna do this cool stuff. If it doesn't happen for any reason, there could be most of the times actually. Oh, guys, holy shit! Sorry.
No problem.
I have to go. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Like I said, future of Fantom.
Go for it. Go for it, Tim. I'll take it up. So from Spirit's point of view, it's been a crazy 2 weeks. A lot of features are being developed, and we're pretty much today, I think, is the time when we'll be releasing Zapper, which is a functionality which would help you zap from your normal tokens to our LP tokens in just one click, and that's something that is really interested. And the community is really excited about. We did release a lot of alpha leaks yesterday in our Discord. Couple of images about our in-Spirit UI, one image about our portfolio page that is being built, and the portfolio page is being built and backed by Covalent APIs as we speak, and it's awesome. We have a whole new V2 being planned with a lot of interesting and amazing features that we are brainstorming on. We are talking to people out in the industry right now, getting their feedback, who are technically blockchain technically. So we're getting feedback from those folks who talk about a couple of our big features for our V2 and see how they respond to it. And so we're making some tweaks, but yeah, our big V2 is being planned. And yeah, I would say those are the main ones. I would say couple of small ones that are coming are limit orders and those kinds of enhancements to our current AMM. One of the other projects that I mentioned before was working on FTM tools. So we're also working on something using Covalent APIs for that, and it's going pretty awesome, I would say. And yeah, a lot of cool things happening, and we'll definitely post updates as and when we get it from our in our Discord. And I would like to see your updates, I guess, until Simone comes. Maybe what's in future for Covalent.
Absolutely. So before I go on to a Covalent update, I would love to ask you, how do you plan what to include and what to not to include? So if you look at Sushi Swap, they've gone through the lending protocol and Kashi and the initial DEX offering and all of these value-added basically different chains, like product suite of what is good for Spirit Swap and what is not good for Spirit Swap. How are you thinking about that? You're going to constantly improve the AMM? Are you going to have an IDO? Are you going to have things like that?
We don't have an IDO plan as of now. The main vision that we have for Spirit Swap is to make it a protocol itself, have a bunch of product suites, as you were just mentioning. We have insurance, we have asset management, We have stable coins, like that whole suite for DeFi. That's kind of like our aim. If we get to that, like that would be amazing. And our V2 somewhat integrate some of those features into the design. And we're getting feedback on that from, like, as I said, like from the big guys out there, and seeing like what they think is like required right now, and what they think is like redundant. So anything that is redundant, we're like rethinking about it. But something that they feel excited about, we're like digging deep into that and like running like simulations and making sure like those features that kind of like meet like what we're expecting. But yeah, that's how we're taking the challenge right now.
Awesome. So Simone is back.
Back, and it wasn't even the right package. So I mean,
Okay. But it looks like you lost your glasses.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I put them on the.
Okay, no worries. It's like. So yeah, we were talking about an update for Fantom. What are you excited about? Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, we decided not to share a strict roadmap. However, of course, we're actively working on a lot of cool stuff. So one thing that I can share, and I shared it already, we're working on sort of revamping the wallet completely, and we want to make the Fantom wallet a sort of all-in-one suite for people to interact with everything Fantom. So you can think of a sort of a Zapper kind of thing, but a little bit more. So you can go there and, of course, do the usual wallet-related things, but then also you will be able to swap. You will be able to lend and borrow and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's very exciting, and it should come in Q3, I would say, maybe towards the end of Q3, and we're very excited about that. And then, of course, still going on with the real world business development, and there's a lot of stuff going on with that, most of which we can't share because also I would say that we have constant talks with again governments, entities, and so on. But sometimes some of these talks don't really go anywhere, but they're very useful for us to also get sort of a feeler of how the external world sort of perceives the blockchain space. And I have to say that compared to a couple of years ago, things are changing drastically. So, again, the real world moves much, much slower. People think that maybe CBDCs are around the corner. I don't think that's so necessarily true. They will come eventually, and they can be a really, really good technological advantage for humanity as a whole, if done in a certain way. But we're still a few years away. So, but it's good that we start having those talks now, because it's all about sort of a compounding process. So we start talking a little bit, and then more and more and more until it happens. So yeah, I would say that's it. And of course, actually, I have to say one thing that I'm very excited about, actually, and should happen quite soon, is finally to have the Chainlink full integration. So the price feed, Chainlink price feeds, and those will allow even more projects and more developers to come to Fantom.
Yep, amazing. I like that portfolio idea that you have, and we have something brewing pretty similar to that, so we should definitely catch up on that one.
Yeah.
And the other thing, sorry, just one thing I forgot to mention was SplitSwap is also kind of like evolving towards a DAO, and we hope that the DAO would be able to like make these decisions about like what are the features that they want to implement. They'll get the community vote towards it, and like do what the community says. But that's another thing that we're kind of like aiming for.
Awesome. So I was just going to give a Covalent update since we're all giving updates. So the big news is the Covalent token is now trading. So that went out last night. So it's not even a day old. So still, it's still very raw. And I think the team is just taking a step back because it's been a grind getting to this point, like months and months and months of like legal and compliance and preparation. So take a bit of a breather here, and then we'll continue to introduce features there, the staking and all of that stuff. So that's going on. But the product stuff, we are a product and engineering driven company, so that is going to be our core focus. So continue to invest into our ecosystem partners like Spirit Swapper and Fantom. So the 1 million wallets is an example of this, but we'll have another campaign later in the year. We'll just keep doing this again and again, because I think competition doesn't really exist in our minds in this stage of the market. And I just point to the database market where I have a lot of experience. There are literally over 600 databases out there for every single use case, and it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And you're not really competing with anyone. You just have to go find your own use case and then go, expand upon that. So for us, that is our purview. Literally, we call the company Covalent, like Covalent bonds, because we are multi-chain, all of that stuff, right? So and I think I'm going to take your advice, Simone, not share a roadmap with concrete timelines, but tell you that this is coming down the pipe. You can expect this coming here. And the price action, we can't really do anything with the price action, right? It is what it is. It'll take care of itself. So we're a long-term project. We're hyper bullish. I posted a tweet yesterday. Never have I been more bullish on our partners, the crypto space, the token holders, our community, everyone, right? It's like, this is very different from what was happening like 2 years ago, right? Very, very different, absolutely, right? Yeah. So this pullback, it's healthy. It's like, what's this phrase? Bullish selling, right? That's what it is.
The other phrase that I kind of like remind what Andre says is bear market, bullish development. I that kind of like resonated with me a lot. I feel like we are in that stage right now.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your perspective and your time, being very generous with your advice, and looking forward to the hackathon and the results.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ganesh, for having us, and also congratulations for launching the token, and thank you again for hosting the hackathon.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. It's been amazing working with your product. It's out of the world as of now, I would say. We are excited what we can do with it.
Fantastic. Great to hear that. Well, thank you, gents, and then see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.